Heavenly Father.
GoDaWork. We have the one and only
Heavenly
on the
Father.
GoDaWork radio show today for Reverend Shaw's segment. And it's who? The only one. Reverend Shaw, how are you today? Amen.
You ain't working, you ain't with us. How you doing, my sister? Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Yes.
I appreciate you so much.
No worries. It's always so neat, shall I say, very informative, engaging, exuberant information, and it's monumental to future generations if we can get more people to help us share the show as well. Go to work.
Go to work.
Yes,
to work.
Indeed.
So today I want to, if I can, I want to talk a little bit about a very important issue. You know, one of the things that we have to do as a people is to look at the situation in its entirety. Right now, and rightfully so, the young people of this nation are protesting against police abuse, people having knees on their neck, strangleholds that are killing innocent people. But at the same time, we have the same thing going on in the field of mental health behind those closed doors where actual children are being killed. And even though black children are overrepresented, white children are also getting killed in these mental institutions, and it goes without a word. Everybody's silent or everybody don't know. So the thing is that if we're going to attack systemic racism, we must attack it in all forms. That's why me and you and others are on this National Task Force Against Eugenics-Based Racism, is because it comes in different forms. And just because a man gets killed on the street in front of people with a knee on his neck doesn't mean that a child being sat on in a mental institution saying he can't breathe and then he dies is the same crime and atrocity, if not more so, with the child who cannot defend himself.
Absolutely.
We have a young man named Cornelius Frederick, who was in a mental institution, and it's so sad. But here, this kid evidently got agitated and threw a sandwich, and before it was all over, this young kid, I think he was 12 or so, maybe a little, but I got to check it out. But before it was all over, he was dead. And he threw a sandwich.
What?
And he was restrained, and, but this isn't on. There was a little white kid who was 9 years old. And he told his mother, he said, "Mom, get me out of here. They're treating me wrongly." And she just thought it was him talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets a call one night that there's been an accident. What was the accident? They sat on him till he couldn't breathe anymore.
Oh, wow.
9 years old. He had only been there 30 days. For ADHD.
Wow.
He sat on him and they killed this kid. And we're not dealing with the restraints that they're using in mental hospitals. It just seems that if it's certain people in certain ways, they get a pass. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement don't get a pass for killing an adult. Why do these people get a pass for killing a child?
Right.
And if I'm 6 feet 220 and I can't handle a 9-year-old without killing him, there's something wrong.
Absolutely.
So these are the things that we're facing in this system. These are the things that we're speaking out on the task force. I'm hoping in September, I want you and Bobby to help me. We want to hold a webinar I do for the task force members only.
Okay.
And that, and then, we put it on, invite all the task force people to be there. There's right about 60 now, almost 60 people on the task force, and
nice.
So we represented in 12 states now, and so we want to do a webinar, because one of the things that we don't do in most of our issues, we don't provide the training for our people to truly know what they're looking at. And so I'm going to use webinars to train not only the task force members, but also the community leaders, so that we can start knowing what we're looking at.
Right.
You know, we've talked about on your show about killology and Dr. David Grossman and how the communities that war with the law enforcement and keep out hesitating. You know, we need to look at these things and put the blame. If you send me to training so I know how to behave in certain situations, and that training is faulty, is that your fault or is that my fault? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, because you go to training, and sometimes we in too much training, and sometimes we got to realize that the bad guys are there trying to do their training and to get everybody at war. Because, you know, one of the things we look at is that during adversity is when the evil people make the most money. You know,
right.
It's like when you're sick and you never get cured, well, good people want to cure people. Bad people want to treat them for life and make money on their misery. I mean, we got to start looking at things in that sense of black and white and quit looking at the gray areas. What are they doing? How are they treating us? And what do we need to do about it? You should not throw a sandwich and be killed. Right,
exactly.
You in the mental institution because, in quotes, something is supposed to be wrong with you. So if something is wrong with you, then why would you kill that person for throwing a sandwich when you already know something's wrong with them?
Exactly. That's almost like double jeopardy or something. Like, how do you get help? Where do you go get help?
Well, luckily, the governor's gotten involved, and they're looking at, you don't even, there is no place to really get help. What we have to do is we're going to have to go back some.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to quit allowing the children to make excuses and the parents to make excuses for the children's behavior. Mm-hmm. There needs to be punishment like there was when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I'm not, everybody say I'm big on the spanking, but it's not that I'm big on the spanking. I just know that when kids have consequences, I'm not talking about brutalizing your child. I'm not talking about putting them in hot water or putting their hand over a fire, or I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm talking about a paddling when you out of control, when you don't listen to your parents. Because let me tell you why it's so important for these kids to listen to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
What if my child is walking toward water and I see electric cord in that water?
Mm.
I'm supposed to be able to speak to that child in a tone that it freezes him.
Yes.
So that I can get him away from the danger.
Absolutely.
If he's not willing to listen to me, that puts him in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Don't open that door. Don't go play with that. How does he know if it's a poisonous frog?
Right.
But he should be able to hear the tone in your voice,
mm-hmm.
and enforcement on that freezes him before he gets into trouble.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't have to beat a child to make him do that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, tappings, spankings, things like that work, punishments work, but a lot of times with young kids, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And we run most of the time anyway. You know?
Right.
But they must be able to hear us, and when we call them, we must get them the idea that you listen to me.
Right.
And if it's not funny to run from me, I'm going to grab you and take you back to where you're supposed to be. You move again, I'm going to, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but look at the amount of trouble we did not get in.
Right. Absolutely. In comparison to, if you compare to today's world, when we, as many things that we see on the social media, in which that's the world we live in, you see a lot of children that just don't respect their parents. They don't listen to them. They just go the opposite way, or they're talking back to them as if they're the parents.
And this is something to know about a mental institution. African Americans are overrepresented in restraint-related deaths of children and adults with disability. Mm-hmm. We are like 13% of the U.S. population, but with 22% of those that die.
Wow.
In restraint things. So the thing is, and that these things are based on racism. Black people are overly aggressive. We're more likely to get restrained, be put in seclusion in schools. I mean, this is a whole systematic thing, but when you look at the major crimes, it's not us that's doing it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But if you over-police the people, then you can find more things on them.
Right.
One of the things is that civil rights data collected of school climates and safety reports in 2018 said that African Americans represented about 15% of the total enrollment in the school, but we were 27% of the restraints and 23% of those seclusions in school. So the thing is that again, you look at this target. Now, I know that because I've done it with my group home, and I was getting the worst of the kids, and we learned we could teach them.
Right.
Well, what you had to do was also do things they liked. Mm-hmm. We got them to where they started liking martial arts, but then if you didn't do your homework and stuff, you couldn't go to martial arts practice. You had to continue to study until you could get it done.
And that made sense to them. Exactly.
So then they would study,
mm-hmm.
but they wanted to learn the martial arts.
That's right.
See? There's a lot of ways we can address this with these children. But the Canadian Fredericks and them, they don't have to die.
No, exactly.
They don't have to die. Little children.
Right.
So, I just wanted to express that, because why is it that law enforcement can enforce whatever they want to do to you with a billy club, with a taser, and if it's bad enough, they can baton you and shoot you? Why is it mental health can drug you with mind-altering drugs? Some of these drugs so powerful they make you commit suicide and kill yourself and kill others. And electric shock you. But a parent can't spank you.
Right.
Or still, you got rules and regulations. And again, I am not for brutal beatings and breaking children and those type of people need to be dealt with in a certain category. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I think most parents love their children.
Go to work, absolutely.
And they don't want to punish and hurt their children.
No, they definitely need coping skills. They need communication. And I think that's a whole show in itself.
Well, that might be our next one.
I think so. Absolutely. So in the meantime, though, everybody can go to cchrint.org to find out more information, as well as go to your email address.
Yeah, fshawjr@yahoo.com if you're a professional person. If you're in agreement with the content that you're listening to, give me an email shout out. I will call you back, and we'll see if you qualify for the National Task Force Against Eugenics-Based Racism.
Go to work. There you go. Now you have it from Reverend Shaw here on the Go to Work radio show. Until next time, thank you, and remember to bring your pen and pencil the next time. Go to work.
Go to work.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right.
Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father.